Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Miyuki and this is Let's Make Art, and we do lettering here. Well, we do a lot of different art mediums, but I'm the lettering teacher and I'm here to teach you how to blend with brush pens. So I'm super excited about this one. We are continuing with our March box, and the quote that I'm going to show you how to do is one step at a time. But of course you can do your own quote, but you can follow along with the different steps that I'm going to do, which are, there are only 3 steps. I'm going to use this layout sheet that you can also get at our website at letsmakeart.com. You can get both of these there, but I'm going to show you how I like to use a pencil, do a pencil sketch first. The second step is I'm going to show you, and we're going to go through this worksheet to practice some flourishes. So flourishes are a really cool addition to letters that you can add on. And then the third step is I'm going to show you how we did all the blending. I guess it's 3A, 3B. 3A is going to do one color, and then I'll show you how to layer and blend on top of that.
It's like an apartment duplex of rules and steps.
Yeah. Okay, the supplies, let me flip this over, the supplies that we are using. We are going to be using the Deep Ochre Ecoline brush pen, so all of these are brush pens. And then the Tombow dual brush pens, this one is 815 Cherry. You have this so you can see what we're doing. That one is 912 Pale Cherry. And then you'll notice, if you can see, there's a shadow, and that is created with this gray, which is N75. So let's do this. Flip this back over. Okay. So when I have a quote that I like to do, it's not just one word, it's a quote, I like to use a pencil and lay it all out. If you want, you can do what we've done in the past sometimes is we'll do thumbnail sketches, which is smaller sketches to figure out your layout. So decide, do you want one step or your quote on 2 lines? Or each word is on 1 line? So that way you can figure out and kind of gauge, I know that's not legible because this is my scribble, but what I'm just showing you is that that's what you can do if you want to start off smaller to figure that out. So I did that and I realized A looked a little lonely, so I decided to move it up to this line. So that's how I ended up with doing at A on the same line. So then what I did was I laid it out if you want to start out with this. And so I am using half of a watercolor sheet. So watercolor sheets are 9 by 12. That came in your box. I cut it in half, so it's 9 by 6. And to start off, I am simply going to sketch and write out my word. You can decide if you want to do it in a script style or not, but I'm just going to do it really loosely, like that. Is that dark enough?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, I can write a little darker if we need be. And then, so once I do that, now I want you to take a step back and look at this and see if there's different spots that you can add flourishes. So like I was saying, flourishes are fun additions to your letters. So for example, a common one is the crossing of a T. So I actually connected my T to my E. I just naturally write like that. But if I were to break this up, and have my T like that. Naturally, you might do this where you cross your T with just a straight line. What if you curl it and add a curl like this here? And I'm going to curl that and bring that there.
I like that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or you can add it the other way, but that way it's kind of filling space and just adding a fun extension to your letter. So we can do the same thing here.
Whenever you cross a T with a flourish, I think of the 3 Musketeers.
Why?
I don't know. Because they have like the feathers that curl on their hat and the sword, so it's like, I don't know.
Oh, I see a mustache.
Oh. It's a thin and creepy mustache.
Well.
Just the way I like it.
That works too. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to do this one as well, just to make it consistent. So then another spot that you can add, there were a few different spots. Let me do this so you can
Question.
Yes.
for your crossing of the T with the flourish, you tend to, as far as I can remember, always put the loop on the left side of the letter.
I know, I don't always make a loop. Or you're talking about the direction.
The direction. So it's always,
Starting
the left side
down.
is starting there and curves from the left always and then straightens out on the right. Is there a reason for that?
That's a great question. So over time, let's do this on this other side and show you the example. This curves that way. Either one looks really great, actually. And I think that I might like that a little bit more.
Oh, snap.
I think I just naturally, so what I was going to say was my thought usually is that, because sometimes I don't always add a curve, I just kind of have it stop right there. So my thought is that as I'm reading this, when it comes to designing, you are helping the eye move through the quote. So for this one, I see this, and then my eye kind of goes back to 1, even though you read it as one step at a time. Whereas this one, because it curves more down, your eye goes one step and then it continues like that. And that could be me making it up as well.
No,
But
I can see that. It's like a directional flourish.
But then I realize as I'm saying that, though, this one then comes back up, which I think is why sometimes I don't always add a curl at the end. So the reality is that you can take it however you want, but if you think about those in ways of where is this guiding my eye, and also what space are you filling? So like for this one here, it worked out super nicely where this came up and was a hump over that A. Whereas if it was like that, it would be clashing a little bit. So that's kind of where balance and harmony comes in, of thinking about different things like that. But I don't want you to worry so much about, am I doing this right or wrong? Because like you said, I actually really like this in this instance. So it's fun to be able to do that. The other thing is that I would say I typically make them all similar. So and let's see what it would look like.
Rather than having a bunch of variations?
Yeah, instead of like having this one start like that. That works. Does that it's super minor, so I guess it does. I don't really know now that I think about it.
Push that to the right a little bit?
Right.
So I see it as
they go into each other?
They go into each other, but they also like bracket that S.
In a good or bad way?
I can't decide.
But that's great that you're recognizing that's what's happening. And it's even interesting. So here's another thing, and why I love using pencil and then seeing what you can work with is on here, I extended my S lower than this line, because that line is a guideline. It's not a rule line. So I can go below it if I'd like. And so because of that, I don't have as much room to curl my T. And then it's interesting because right here, this P hits like it's lightning right on top of my A. So what I might do is I'm going to add a curl, because right now I just have a straight line. I'm going to add a loop to this.
Oh.
And then maybe I just bring the A down a little bit. So it's less of a harsh line. And then, so those are all the different things for the T. Now I want to go for another place that you can add a flourish, is the ends of letters. So a couple of them you might notice is what I see right here, that one I ended up leaving. You can add one there. But I added one at the end of the P, and I curled it because I saw this negative space. So I curled it to fill that there. And then kind of the same thing as my eye saw that space, so it kind of just curled right there. So the goal is that just seems very seamless and it flows together. And then the other one was the end of this T, is you can have it loop. And again, go below that line. And then when it came to the end of this E, so I could do the same thing and have that curl right there. That would work. Or what I did was, because I was looking at my sheet and I saw this quote would fill right here and there'd be a little bit more empty space at the bottom. So if that is the same case and you want to fill it, flourishes can also extend further. And I had it loop. So in order to have it loop down here, I had to curve it back around. So you can either leave it like that, or I curled it looped it one more time. Just to kind of fill that space. And it gave a home, which I haven't actually said in a while, but it gave a home for the time to kind of sit on.
That's true.
So let's see, was there anything else that I added? Oh, it looks like I just made this loop on this O a little bit taller.
Like a half pretzel, or even a pretzel.
Yes. And it's brown-ish.
Perfect. All you need now is some salt and cheese.
So, that sounds so good right now. Okay, but there we go. That's how you can add to your very simple pencil sketch. Then we are going to go to our brush pens. So let's see. There is a worksheet. I'll go over it once and then you can do it a little bit on your own. But I just made this so that if you want to practice doing those longer strokes, and the reason why I want you to practice is that there might be, I want to see naturally how you draw. So when I draw this, if my hand were stationary this entire time, I can't do that entire stroke. Whereas in this instance, and this is the only time that I use my entire arm, is that I'm going to let it flow and then come around. Whereas when it comes to lettering, I say that it's easier to stay grounded, but in this case, experiment and see which way you have more control, because you actually might have it more control doing that. I was going to flip my page, I'm not. So, and then there's other ones that you can practice as you're going through. Don't worry so much about if the line is thick or thin. I don't want you to worry so much about that. I just want you to get used to doing that motion to practice. So when it comes to the final piece, I am using watercolor paper because this Ecoline brush pen is watercolor based. Oh shoot, do we have painter's tape?
Yes.
Did it again?
Underneath that paper to your left.
Yes, okay. So you have a few options. I am going to use a light box for my first layer, or if you want, you can pencil sketch it out directly on here. I would just do it a little bit lighter or erase a little bit after so your pencil lines aren't as dark. But light boxes are really handy because we did a lot of the hard work. So I'm going to tape this down. And if you can't see, so when I do this, if you can't see your lines, I can kind of see them, but just go over and make it a little bit darker. So this way, when we go to our brush pen, I'm just going to be tracing. And we do sell these on our site.
We do.
Right?
There's probably a deficit due to the Chinese holiday, but there will be more available.
There will be more if it's not currently available. Okay, so I'm going to center this and just tape this down. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to blend, but first what I actually want to do is I want to show you how on this one, this one is just done with this pen. There's no blending involved, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'll go through the blending aspect of it. The reason why is that the Ecoline brush pens are super juicy.
Can you push that to the right?
And, oh, is that good?
Yep.
Okay. They're very juicy, which means that when I press really hard, it's going to be a darker color than when I go light on the up. So thick on the down, thin on the up, thick on the down. And I'm just tracing. And the thick on the down, thin on the up, when I'm saying that to myself, I'm thinking thin on the up, I'm applying light pressure, and then thick on the down, I'm applying heavier pressure. So you can see within that the color variance that is right there that I really, really love about these pens. Then the next step, and I chose this quote because I want you to take it one step at a time. Don't get too rushed and think that you need to do it all at once. There's layers that we're going to continue to add on to our letters. So the first one is I'm taking my pale cherry, the 912, and I'm again just going to trace. But I'm going to do this entire 2 lines. And you can see that I'm taking it stroke by stroke, and I'm just simply tracing.
That's a cool P.
Thanks. Do you like the curl, or do you like, actually there's
I
fun
like the
loops
curl. It
everywhere.
makes me think of a dancer.
It totally does. One step. It totally does. I love that. Okay. So I am going to hold off on doing time because that is a different actually blending technique that I will show you after. So now that is there. Also, I should say that is I'm right-handed, and you all saw that I tilted it back. When I'm lettering, I tend to tilt my paper a little bit to the left because I feel more comfortable than lettering straight up and down. So if you're experimenting, that might be something you would try out. If you're left-handed, maybe try and experiment going the other way, and that may help you out. Okay, so to get this blending effect, what I'm going to do is in my mind, I'm thinking that it's going to go from this deep ochre, and then it's like it's dipping in the top of step. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to layer on top and just draw little blades of grass. And so this whole cross of this T, so I'm overlapping, and you'll notice that my lines, I'm not drawing a harsh line. I'm just kind of wisping on top. And you also don't, these pens are more flexible, so you don't have to press very hard. I'm basically lightly grazing to get the color on here. So I kind of eyeballed, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I eyeballed and I just want the top of it. And then I'm going to do the bottom, and I'm taking the cherry and I'm going to do the bottom of at A. So I'm going to do the same thing, overlapping on top. Like that. Then you're going to go back to your original color, which in my case was the 912. And I am going to now overlap on top of both of these colors. So basically the seam where this connects, I'm simply blending back in. So you can do that same motion of drawing blades of grass. So it's smoothing that transition out.
It's making the letters come alive.
Yeah. Does it look like they're dripping?
Yeah, it looks awesome.
So that smooths that out. I might even go over that color. And then to do this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw a few swatches on here because I picked up a little bit of that deep ochre, so I just want to get that off a little bit. So I can do this one with a clean brush pen, and I'm going to do the same thing. Overlap on top, lightly moving the color around, and might do the same thing. So it's basically, it's kind of picking up the cherry color. So you can see how it's a little pink at the end. So just smooth that out. There we go. And then I am going to show you this one. I was thinking which step I should go in order. I'm going to show you how to do the second blending, and then I'll show you the next step after that. So when we're looking at this one, instead of blending where it looks like it's a different color on the top or the bottom, can you tell, Keenan, how it's a little bit pinker on this side and then it gets to the original color?
Yes.
It's super slight.
It is.
But that is a different technique, which actually, if you will link it, it's the magic tutorial that we did for a spring box that was with brush pens. I showed how you can do this technique a little bit more. But what it is I'm just taking, this is actually the sleeve that the Let's Make Art Matter postcard came in. And so you can use a plastic bag, you can use your palette, actually will work too. But what I'm doing is I'm taking my darker of the colors, which is the cherry in this instance, and I'm drawing a swatch on there. Then I'm picking up and I'm taking my lighter color, which is the pale cherry, and I'm basically swooping the color up. And then I'm going to go over here, I'm going to trace and draw. So then what happens is that it started with the more saturated pale cherry, and then by the time we're done here, it goes back to the original color.
That is always cool.
It's super slight and I love it. So then actually I'm thinking for the crossing of the T, instead of having this original pale cherry, I want to go and pick up.
Right now it says one step at a lime.
No, I loved it. I was wondering why you're laughing. That's awesome. That's super funny. So I picked up a little bit more of the darker color so that when I cross my T, it will also be that same color. So then if you want to go back to the original line or color, just draw some lines on there. Okay, that is how you do that one. So those are a couple different steps. The final one is a personal preference. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but can you see, Keenan, this is super slight, is I'm not looking at the shadow, but I'm looking at you can see it right here, and you can see it here kind of, is I'm gonna outline with the smaller side, the letters. So they pop a little bit more.
You're outlining it with?
This side. I'm lining it with the pale cherry so it's not that obvious, but I'm gonna go over, and I also like it because it adds a hint of color.
So instead of the shadow.
Well, we're gonna do both actually.
Oh gosh.
I see what that does. Interesting.
It's really slight, and again, that's why I'm saying if you don't like this look, it's okay, and you don't have to do it.
This is the best part though, because this is when the letters literally start falling off the page. Like they start to pop.
Falling off? Yeah, so I'm just outlining the outside of this. And in my case, I didn't draw, I realized on the original, I drew the letters a little bit thicker. These ones I drew them thinner, but it still works. And also it helps, because you blended it, it helps kind of clean it up as well. If you're doing this. I'm gonna finish up this word and then we can zoom. So, oh, I didn't mention this. I'm using the other side of the Tombow Dual brush pen. It's the bullet tip side, which is not a brush pen, it's just like a regular pen. So it's great to use in this instance. Okay. Can you even see the difference between here and here? Or this and this?
I mean, mean, it's hard for me to see it.
I know. It's probably, I can see it from here, but it'll be interesting to see if you guys can see from the camera. But again, that's another step you can take. I am going to now show you the last step, which is my lighter shadow of the gray, and then I'll zoom on and do them all at once, or finish it up. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the light gray with my Tombow Dual brush pen, and I'm going to use the brush pen side. You can use the other side as well if you want. But for this, what we're doing is I'm going to hug up right against the stroke and just draw a line. If it's too light, you can go over and do another layer if you'd like. But don't worry so much about you blending, because I might pick up naturally some of the color because I'm touching it so close, but that's okay. Oh, I did that one. I'm gonna do it here. So what this is this is a shadow. So pretend you have your light source. In this case, I took it from my left side, and it's hitting this letter, and it's casting a shadow. So it's hitting this T, and then casting a shadow underneath it. It's hitting this S, and casting a shadow right here, and then right here. So it's a very subtle hint that these letters, like Keenan was saying, are popping or falling off of the page. And it's okay if you're not sure where to add your shadow. I'd like you to start and try once and then see, does that look right? And maybe if it doesn't, then that's your learning opportunity. And that's how we all learn, is by trying and then learning from our experiences. So now you can definitely tell that those two look very different than those.
Yes.
Based on those two steps. So we're going to zoom on. I'm going to finish this up so you can see the final product, and then we'll be all done. Well, we finished. I'm so excited to see what you create. This was a very fun one to show. I know you guys really like blending, so I was super stoked when I was able to incorporate this into the box in a project for you. So if you are not part of our Facebook group already, please come and join. It's called Let's Make Art Lettering. We also have a watercolor group, and we have an art journal group. We're just a big happy family here at Let's Make Art. So come join along that, and then we have an Instagram called Let's Go Make Art, and share what you create. I know that this may be something that, maybe it's one word. If you're not ready to take this whole quote, do one word, share it in our group. We want to cheer you on through this journey. See you guys next week. Bye.